Obviously, we're gonna go to Saturnalia. Just to see if Heath's there. I doubt he will be. But there's not really much point in even going and seeing Heath because... like, it's not like we get an actual event with him. We get an opportunity to ask him questions. The bar was almost entirely empty. All I saw were a few vampires huddled reclusively by themselves and one unsuspecting human playing pinball in the corner. Over at the counter, Heath stood with a cigarette hanging absently between his lips, staring at the row of bottles. Go talk to Heath, obviously. Just to see if we've got anything more to say. Valkii. Reaching over the bar, Heath suddenly curled his arms around my shoulders, burying his face against my shoulder. The hug didn't last too long, but in the brief moments he held me, I could feel him trembling slightly. People were already talking about what happened, and I'm so relieved that you're alright. I'm glad too. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out, honestly. That must have been terrifying. I'm so sorry you had to go through it. We have to bring an end to this war before something like this happens again. He took a deep breath, slowly shaking his head. Well, I'm so happy you came here in person, and I can see for myself that you're alright. Were you just stopping by for a drink after what happened, or did you want to ask me something? No, got nothing to ask you, got nothing to talk to you about, nothing. Okay, that's all for now, I think. Please, Valkii, stay safe. If anything happened to you, I don't know what I'd do, so maybe no more dark parking garages alone, Heath chuckled as he turned away, but the strain in his voice leaked through. Okay, nothing more to do here, sadly. Right, where should we go? Let's go see Marcus. I wandered over to the counter where Marcus was hunched over, scribbling something onto a postcard. Ah, Valkii. He lifted his head to gasp gently at my approach, although it seemed a little too theatrical. You caught me in the midst of some leisurely scribbles, it seems. How fare you tonight, sister? I'm doing all right. How about you? A little sore from all this writing. 3 fingers hold the pen, they say, but the whole body works and aches. You came asking something of me, though, am I correct? Come on, what's on your mind? I have a question about you. No, I don't. I have a question about someone else. No, I don't. Something that happened recently. Why were you at the party at Saturnalia? I simply had an idea that something interesting might happen. That, and I always enjoy making others uncomfortable when I can. I met this human named Lazarus in the sewers. Oh, what did you think of him? I'm not really sure. He's a bizarre person. Not so bizarre with context. Lazarus is neither the first nor the last of his kind, so whether you admire or despise him, I suggest you learn from his story. Okay. Alright, nothing else. Very well. We'll see each other again soon, I'm sure. But nothing really to ask people these days. I guess I'll go see if I can talk to Randall, because I've barely been able to talk to him lately. I've talked to him a grand total of 1 time. Okay, I want to see my stats, actually. Oh, something's going on. Yeah, the Ascari like me a lot. The Golgotha like me less. The Mavar like me a bit more now. I'm very human-like, which I feel like is a good trait to have if I'm with Heath. I'm determined, more diplomatic, but it's not really saying much. A large crowd was gathered inside, filling the air with the chattering of excited voices. Everywhere I looked, vampires were clustered tightly together like a hive of buzzing bees. But amidst the swarm of Mavar, I saw a strangely solitary figure by the sliding door. Randall. Absolutely, let's talk to him. I stepped over to the door where the Mavar were giving Randall an unusually wide berth. Maybe he'd asked to be alone for a little while. When I got close, he didn't seem to notice me at first, until finally his head jerked up. Valkii. I heard about what happened, and Jesus Christ. He exhaled a long breath through his teeth, clenching his jaw. I'm sure you know this already, but I'd never let any of my guys attack you like that. It must have been some dumb fuck who thinks you're the one to blame for our problems. You doing okay? It was terrifying. I didn't know if I was going to make it out of there. Fuck, I hope those fuckers all got whatever they deserved. Randall sighed, running a hand through his messy hair. Well, if you're alright, then that's a big weight off my shoulders. If you want, we can talk about something else, get your mind off things. I get if you're not up for it, though. fine. Do you know Alusha? Oh, that girl? Yeah, she's pretty cool. We're not close or anything, but for a human, she actually kicks ass. What about Andre? Oh. As soon as I mentioned Andre's name, Randall went rigid, his teeth clenching. Don't ever fucking trust anything that guy tells you, Valkii. All I'm gonna say is that he's a cold, evil bastard. Scares me more than Charisse does. That meeting at Saturnalia with the Ascarian Gulls, yeah, I got a tip-off. We had to step in because there was no way I'd let that go down. I don't think anybody was killed, none of our people anyway, but damn, it was a mess. With a heavy sigh, Randall rubbed a hand along his forehead, hesitating briefly. Listen though, if I said something in the heat of the moment that made me sound like an asshole, well, I am an asshole. But I didn't mean to snap at you because you were with Heath. I just said the first thing that came to my mind, that's all. No hard feelings, I hope, even if I do still think that guy's a sad sack of shit. Probably won't be showing up at Saturnalia again anytime soon, but the blood's not that good anyway. I met this guy who lives in the sewers, Lazarus. Lazarus, huh? Not ringing any bells, sorry, though I didn't know the sewers were a real estate hotspot. Fine. That's all for now. Alright. I'm real glad you came to see me, Valkii. He reached out to squeeze my shoulder, gazing at me intently. Careful out there because, well, until the war's over, anything could fucking happen. As we parted ways, I felt Randall's gaze still on my back, following me closely. Let's have a look at the stats again to see if that did anything. I don't think it did, but it's fine. We chilled with Randall. I think that's probably all the time we have for tonight. Yep, time to head back. You get like 3 things to do in a night, like 3 places to go. Not 3 things to do, because you can do multiple things at multiple places. As I returned to my room, I still felt slightly unnerved from my earlier brush with death. The sight of all those bodies stayed fresh in my mind. What if our places had been reversed and my corpse was lying there right now while they walked free? If not for my mysterious savior, that situation might have come true. I wonder who it is. The thought didn't give me any comfort as I huddled in for another dreamless rest. Somewhere outside my window, thunder rumbled in the distance. I'd been awoken by a phone call from Charisse an hour or 2 earlier, instructing me to stay in my room on standby, something about a mission she was planning. But I had a feeling that wasn't her only motivation for keeping me here. So, restless and wide awake, I sat flipping through the TV channels, absently taking in the infomercials and televangelists. Okay. As I stared absently at the door, sucking on a leftover blood bag, a firm knock came at my door. When I hopped off my bed and hurried over to answer it. Oh, hey, agent. Good evening, miss. Charisse's agent stood there, offering me a polite smile. Miss Locke wanted me to pass along a message to you. I'm listening. Mr. Heath just called the hotel from the Saturnalia. There are several newly turned Ascari waiting at the bar requesting to speak with you. I see, I'll get right over them. Miss Locke has authorized a visit, so you may leave whenever you'd like. Mr. Heath has already paid for a taxi to ferry you to the bar. It should be here soon. So I'm like held hostage almost, unless I get explicit permission from Charisse. Okay. The opportunity to stretch my legs was too good to pass up, as well as my curiosity about Heath's call, so I left my room to go wait for the cab. In a way, I wondered if Heath just wanted an excuse to spend time with me. The past few weeks, he jumped at any opportunity for us to be together. All of the attention was flattering, but I had to wonder if he wasn't neglecting himself in exchange. Or if he was just afraid of spending too much time alone. Before long, a taxi pulled up beside the hotel, its cabbie waving to me. As soon as I ducked inside, the driver immediately took off, revving his engine impatiently. For a short time, I sank into my idle thoughts, until I glanced up to the front seat. The cabbie's eyes were darting around, flicking from the rearview mirror to the road, with beads of sweat breaking out on his forehead. I couldn't figure out why he was so nervous until I looked out the window at the street signs rushing by. This wasn't the way to Heath's bar. At some point, the driver must have turned around, and now we were heading in the opposite direction. The hell are you doing? Hey, don't get all freaked out on me. I'm just doing my fucking job. I don't know what kind of shit you people are up to. His words came in a nervous stream, mumbled from his spittle-flecked lips. Listen, all the guy said was start driving towards Saturnalia, then once you're away from the hotel, turn around and bring her back here. I'm just following orders, okay? He gave me a fuck ton of cash and I got bills to pay. I don't make enough doing this fucking job. Was it really Heath who sent you? If Heath is what you call that white-haired pretty boy motherfucker, then sure, I guess. He grumbled in response, avoiding eye contact in the mirror. Okay, my confusion lasted for a while longer until the street started to look unusually familiar, and despite my initial disbelief, I finally realized where he was taking me. Sure enough, the driver eventually pulled up before a familiar set of towering gates. He said he'd be waiting for you inside, so get going. I'm supposed to stay here until you guys come out, but could you try and hurry it up, whatever the hell it is you're doing? This place gives me the fucking creeps, I'll be back soon with Heath. Right, go on. Sooner you're in there, sooner we can leave. Stepping out of the car, I approached the iron gates, which were cracked just enough to let me inside. I started down the path, staying alert for any sign of Heath, but it was difficult, if not downright impossible, to detect a single vampire's presence, because everywhere, all around me, I felt them watching me. I couldn't see them, and the sensation might have just been an illusion, but it was like 1,000 tiny pinpricks all over my skin, needle-like eyes piercing me from every side. Then, among the distant tombstones, I saw a figure. They were sauntering towards me, winding along the path at a leisurely pace. It was too unnaturally dark to make out any of their features until... Zhang. Well, well, if it isn't a late-night visitor. He came to a stop several feet away, tilting his head to one side. Most of his features were hidden thanks to the unnatural darkness. Isn't it just delightful the way fate keeps bringing us together? Do you know where Heath is? I do, actually. Zhang smiled at me thinly. I noticed he seemed more subdued than usual, with less of his Cheshire cat grin or loud sing-song manner of speaking. No doubt you want to see him, Heath, that is to say, so why don't we head off to where he's waiting? Come. Why is he here? Without waiting for my reply, he turned sharply on his heel and began striding down the path. I hurried to keep up with his quick pace, weaving through the legions of tombstones. Curiously enough, Zhang didn't seem inclined to mock or even chatter with me tonight. Is something wrong? Oh no, not particularly. Glancing at me briefly, Zhang reached up to adjust his hat, although these days it's easier to ask if something is right and just assume the rest has, well, gone to hell, really. He offered a slightly forced chuckle. Why don't you just tell me? I'm a good listener. Zhang stayed silent for several long moments, tracing his thumb along his bottom lip. There are simply a few interesting complications involving you, my good Valkii. Complications multiplied by other complications, which are compounded by yet more complications, nearly enough to drive a man mad. Awfully convenient that I'm already judged that way, though. His last words carried a not-so-subtle finality, suggesting he wouldn't let me press the issue any further. Hurry up, take me to Heath. What's wrong with him? We submerged back into silence, our footsteps clicking in a steady rhythm along the path. As we walked further into the graveyard, I realized we were approaching a familiar structure. The old mausoleum towered higher and higher before us, rising like a castle from among the graves. Zhang came to a stop beside the mausoleum, clearing his throat. Well, I believe you'll find him around the front. I'll be taking my leave then, I think. After delivering those words to me, he immediately turned away, already taking a step back down the path. Wait, Zhang. I called out to him, but Zhang seemed to deliberately ignore me. Before long, his wiry form disappeared into the dark, and I was left alone again. Slowly, I crept towards the front of the mausoleum, unsure of what I might see. As I rounded the corner, the sight that greeted me was... God, he's so pretty. Two figures standing face to face, silhouetted. Cannot understand why Locke would treat you so callously, when you are, in all certainty, a sublime example of your house. Murmuring under his breath to Heath, Andre lightly cupped his face, but the gesture looked entirely devoid of affection. Heath made no reply, his lower lip trembling until he sank his fangs against it. Neither of them seemed to notice me, as if they were in their own entirely separate world. I know you have made many decisions that you gaze back upon with regret, but I assure you this will not be one of them. I believe you. Heath's faint whisper was nearly carried away by the wind. I believe you, Andre, but what about her? He stressed her with a strain of worry leaking into his voice. Will she really understand? Or will she think that you're... I'm certain she will. Andre smoothly overran Heath's thought, shaking his head. The gentleness in his voice sounded almost alien, an odd contrast to his usual tone. It is, after all, in both of your interests, if your bond truly is as strong as you believe. You're right. More than anything, I hope you're right. His gaze slowly lowered from Andre's face, staring distantly at something or someone that wasn't there. Andre studied him in silence, glowing eyes washing over Heath's pale features. Then, as if pulled from a trance, he stepped back from Heath, turning to face me. "Welcome, Valkii." Heath stiffened, jerking towards me in shock. "Valkii, I didn't know you were already here. It's so hard to detect other presences in this place." "You tricked me into coming here. Why?" "I didn't want to trick you. I'm sorry. I couldn't risk Charisse finding out about this, so I pretended like I needed you at Saturnalia. I hope you'll forgive me." He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply and smoothing a hand through his hair. When our gazes met again, he seemed to have regained some of his composure. "A little while ago, Andre contacted me in secret. After the war is over, Charisse, she's..." His voice cracked, horror and sadness slowly etching into his features. "She's planning to get rid of me." "What? But Charisse cares about you." "I thought so. I wanted to think so too. When Andre reached out to tell me, I didn't believe it at first, so I crept into her office myself to look through her agent files. She keeps records on all of us, always up to date. But my file was gone, emptied. I know too many of her most valuable secrets to be just let go, which means..." Heath cut himself off as if he couldn't finish or accept the thought. His fingers coiled in his scarf, gripping the fabric tightly, and I could see him clenching his jaw. "With Locke's intention to dispose of him, Heath is all the more concerned about your apparent allegiances, Valkii." Andre softly stepped in, sounding all the more calm and collected next to Heath's shakiness. "If Randall and his rebellion succeed, the laws that protect us from humanity and ourselves will be destroyed. You are not of House Mavar, yet you are still accepted among Randall's ranks due to your previous lack of affiliations. However, the rest of us will not face the same acceptance. The war has aroused mutual fear and disgust among the free houses. And if LA sinks into anarchy, no one will be safe." My gaze met Heath's, his eyes wide and pleading. "The Ascari will all be in constant danger. The rebels think you're an exception, not the rule. And I know it's selfish for me to say this, but the Mavar hate me, and if they're given free rein in Hollywood, I'll be killed within a week." "That's not true. When the war's over, people will come together. This isn't the first war between houses, Valkii. And deep down, I'm starting to realize that it won't be the last." He made a poor attempt at a smile, which ended up as a strained grimace. "If you are willing to consider an alternative option, I would welcome you both as allies. Heath is well acquainted with my goals and seems to find them agreeable. If you were to listen with an open heart, perhaps you might interpret them similarly." He ended with a deliberate glance towards Heath, gesturing towards me patiently. "Andre wants to make a world where vampires don't have to hide their natures." Heath spoke with more determination than before, a trace of hope even filling his voice. "It won't be easy, but we can't go on like this forever. It's only a matter of time before humans find out about us." But humanity would destroy us as soon as they found out." "Well, you may be partially correct. Our eventual discovery is indeed inevitable, which is why I believe in preparation, not hospice and denial." This cat. As he spoke, Andre moved closer, forcing me to crane my neck slightly to look up at him. His presence somehow felt more domineering and intense, even though his expression remained all but impassive. "I wish to consolidate the houses into a single united body so that we can direct our energies towards the future. With enough strength, diplomatic presence, and protection for our kind, we will be prepared for any reaction or aggression taken against us." Cat. You're gonna hear him meow. Or not. She went off my lap without being moody. "When the time is right, we will announce our presence as well as our peaceful intentions. From there, we will seek to embrace humanity, not cower from it." Despite his quiet explanation, he spoke with unwavering confidence. "I have already established low-key, I don't know how to say that, of control in other cities. Los Angeles, however, is a key piece in my movement, as the number and power of vampires here is unusually high. Achieving a victory here would mark the true beginning of our future, a future that you may be a significant part of. So I will extend a final offer to you, and by proxy to Heath. Will you fight for our kind? Will you join my cause?" "I think you're full of shit and you're manipulating Heath." Like a kicked, defenseless dog, Heath flinched and lowered his head, curling an arm around himself. I see, then there is no further point to our discussion here. Please leave me. I could go back to this, by the way. He slowly turned away, a clear signal that our meeting was over. After a long, uncomfortable pause, Heath began heading towards the path. He walked slowly, allowing me to catch up to his side soon enough. Listen, you can't trust Andre. He doesn't care about us. Heath offered no response, and he didn't even look at me. I thought he might plead with me to go back, question me, or even get angry, but he just stayed quiet. Heath, please don't act like this. I'm sorry, Valkii. He exhaled a long, heavy sigh, sinking his fangs harshly against his bottom lip. I'm sure you have a reason for what you said, despite everything else. I just hope you'll think things over again before the end. He reached down to clasp my hand, squeezing it as if to comfort himself more than me. Soon we reached the graveyard's exit, where the taxi driver was still waiting for us. He grumbled and muttered under his breath as we climbed inside, taking off with a screech and zooming towards the city. Heath pulled his legs up to his chest, watching the city lights go past his window. They flickered across his face one by one, colouring his pale skin red, then green, then blue. The ride back was weighed by an uncomfortable silence. I had a feeling that even if I tried to say anything, Heath wouldn't give me much of a response. It didn't seem like he was angry at me, at least, but I could tell he was deeply submerged in thought. Before long, the taxi pulled up on the side of the street, but we were still a few blocks down from the hotel. Heath slipped out to open the door for me, although he didn't close it after I stepped out. I'm sorry to make you walk, it's just a precaution for your safety and mine. Tension still weighed in his voice, even darkening his eyes. I need to go back to Saturnalia to smooth over the cover story I gave Charisse, but I'll see you soon, very soon. He took my hands in his, softly kissing my knuckles and fingers. I promise. Be careful, Heath, please. I will. I have to be, so we can see each other again. Heath released my hands to reach out, lightly running his fingers through my hair. For a brief moment, the strain seemed to lift from his face, and a soft, genuine smile eased onto his lips. But he pulled away from me swiftly, turning back to the cab, throwing me a final look over his shoulder. Stay safe, Valkii. He ducked into the taxi, pulling the door shut behind him. The impatient driver started the engine immediately, and they were zooming down the street a few seconds later. Even though Heath was gone, it felt like a strange weight still hung in the air. Andre is not to be trusted. Everyone says he's not to be trusted. And as I began to walk back to the hotel, that weight seemed to always linger on my heels. Rain pattered gently against my window. I gazed down at the distant city streets where the wet pavement glistened with the reflection of endless lights. Do they hate me more? Yeah, they don't like me at all. A little while ago, I'd awoken to the soft sound of a storm. Somehow it made the world seem so peaceful, calm and drowsy, entirely different from the bristling tension that had filled the past few days. Listening to the rain almost made my tired body want to drift back to sleep. Ring, ring. The phone interrupted my thoughts, snapping me back to the moment. I reached over to pick it up, but as soon as I held the receiver to my ear, Valkii. Charisse's voice hissed out at me. I'm coming up to your room now. Wait, what? The line abruptly went dead. She sounded much, much angrier than I'd ever heard her before. Apparently my peaceful night wasn't destined to last very long. A few minutes later, my door rattled with three vehement? I can't even remember how to say that name, knocks. The second I opened it, Charisse strode past me, silently storming her way inside my room. She radiated fury, even though her expression looked dangerously calm. What happened, Charisse? Charisse gave me a silent, bitter look. I had a feeling that anger wasn't the only emotion swirling inside her right now. Two of my agents were killed tonight. When she finally managed to speak, her voice trembled slightly. Not from spying, not from venturing into enemy territory. They were off duty. They hadn't even left Hollywood, but they were picked off, attacked in an alleyway as they left to see a movie together. I'm sorry, Charisse. Apologies won't bring them back from the dead. She scowled at me harshly, as if I was somehow responsible for what happened. These little ambushes, these pathetic attempts at power plays, they're nothing more than a show, a pitiful show of strength they don't even have. One of her hands clenched into a tight fist, knuckles nearly bursting open her glove. Neither the Mavar nor the Golgotha are bold enough to make a genuine first move. They're too afraid of a real conflict. That is why I will make the first move, and an opportunity has just arisen for it. Charisse took a long, deep breath, lifting a hand to adjust her glasses. When her steely gaze refocused on me, it seemed like she'd calmed down a little. I am currently working with a new Ascari manager at the abattoir to plan a party on Friday, a party exclusive to our coven. That club is considered the most important neutral territory because it is an extremely popular feeding ground. Since the war started, no aggressions have been made on neutral territory, with the exception of that brief escalation in Saturnalia. During the gathering, you're going to announce that the club now belongs to the Ascari, as does the whole city. Anyone who remains an enemy to our faction will be treated accordingly. Hold on a second, why do you want me to announce this? Your reputation has made you an important figure, an object of keen scrutiny by all the city's vampires. You are, like it or not, being viewed by many as the political pulse of this city. Many question your allegiances, and now is the time to show once and for all where your loyalty lies. She gave me a long, hard look. I'll send along my agents who will provide support both inside and out of the club. There may not be any initial fighting, but we should be prepared. Then after that night you'll forcibly drive them out? Yes, anyone who continues to undermine the city's laws, which worked excellently until this senseless rebellion, will be told to leave Los Angeles. I want to minimize bloodshed, but some of them will inevitably attack us in retaliation. What about the human police? They've been sufficiently informed and compensated. Any casualties will be reported as mere gang violence. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna see what she says if I say I can't take part in it. I want to erase any memory of that back alley. I can't. I'm sorry, Charisse, but I can't take part in this. I'm sure you're quite sorry, almost as sorry as I am to force you into doing it. In case I have to spell it out further, you don't have a choice in the matter, Valkii. Muttering those words bitterly, Charisse shook her head. She still seemed different from her normal self, aggressive but uncertain, almost like a wounded animal ready to attack. Then, pushing past me, she swiftly made her way to the door. Oh, and just so you're aware, you won't be allowed to leave the hotel without my permission. My agents have been instructed to monitor your movements. I suggest you do yourself a favor and stay here. Enjoy the room while you still have it. The door slammed behind her, rattling on its hinges. And with that, I was imprisoned in the hotel. My God. Charisse said the party would happen Friday, but today was only Wednesday. I'd have to deal with being leashed here until then, kept inside my luxury prison. I glanced outside my window where the moon and dark clouds seemed closer than the distant streets below. For once I didn't feel hungry at all, only isolated. Heath was probably working at Saturnalia, though once he learned what happened, he'd no doubt show up to see me. There was someone else I could talk to, though. Call in David. Why not? After I gave a brief knock on David's door, he quickly shuffled over to answer it. Hi, mistress. Oh, just call me Valkii. I don't like it anymore. There must be something going on here. I heard a lot of people talking and moving around tonight. Yeah, I'm not even supposed to leave the hotel. Wow, I bet it's a big vampire thing, right? I'm happy you're here, though, since you're always out doing stuff. Here. Did you want to talk about something, then? How are things going for you, David? Instead of immediately answering, David just gazed at me rapturously for several moments, his eyes full of adoration. You're my everything, Valkii. You make life worth living. Do you think your family will worry about you? I don't know. They probably just figure I ran away from home. Which I guess I did, huh? Well, they've got their own problems. I don't think they'll worry about me. He let out a small, weak chuckle. But that's fine. Maybe you should get out of the hotel now and then, huh? Oh no, I really don't want to. There's not much out there for me, and besides, I'm pretty happy in my room, honestly. Not exactly a healthy attitude, David. Yeah, probably not. You're right. I mean, things will change someday. Maybe I'll figure out what I want to do, you know? But it's not like there's a rush or anything, and I can't do something I'm not good at or interested in. So I'm okay waiting for now. Let's see what... if we tell him to leave. No, I don't know if I want to... If I'm going to go through this again, I'm probably not going to do it on video. David, I think you need to leave. What? It won't be safe for you to stay at the hotel, but I'll find you in a few days. You will? I promise, David, we can meet at the abattoir. Okay, if you really think it's not safe, I'll leave tonight, but make sure you come find me soon, okay? That's all for now. You can go back. Okay, I can't wait to see you again, mistress. Woo. Giving me a longing smile, David slipped back into his room, sighing as the door clicked shut. I sank down onto my bed, staring at the wall with a strangely numb sensation. For a moment, I felt the same way I did my first night, all alone in this empty room. It didn't matter that I'd already seen unimaginable things or survived some of the darkest parts of Hollywood. The coming days still felt like the most uncertain I'd ever see ahead of me. Okay, I will see you in the next one. Bye.